Assalamu alaikum, family, peace, healing, and light, and welcome back to another episode of Healing with Angelica's podcast, where we discuss all things healing. Welcome, beautiful souls. On today's episode, I have a special guest joining me today, international speaker from Nigeria, Omu Obilor, as we'll be discussing today's amazing topic, living my best life. Omu, welcome and thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Angelica. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you again for joining me today. Now, before we discuss our topic of the day, living my best life, do you mind letting our audience know more about you?
Okay, so my name is Omu Obilor. I live in Lagos, Nigeria. I work out of Lagos, Nigeria, but I work globally. I am an engineer by course of study. I I veered into the speaking, coaching, and training sector in 2011. And that's actually when my personal development journey started as a founding member of the John Maxwell Team.
Mm.
And afterwards, I got other certifications, and now I help people live their best lives, overcoming different limiting beliefs.
Oh, wow. I love that. Oh, my God. That is beautiful. Thank you for that. Now, let's get started on today's topic, living my best life. So, there is a saying that I believe that we all have heard before, and which is life is what you make it. And when we hear this, yes, we get a sense that anything is possible and a sense of motivation and happiness may come over us. However, how do we implement certain ways or habits to start living our best life? And that brings me to my first question for you, Omu. What started your journey in living your best life now?
So I'll give a backstory. I always, in the past, if I had heard living your best life, the first thing that would have occurred to me was, oh, who is this person who thinks they're all it, or who thinks they have it all sorted, or who is so proud? I I had that mental, belief that you can't be seen to say you have it all,
Mm,
or I actually had convinced myself that no one ever has it all, and really no one really has it all. It's impossible to have it all. That said, it doesn't stop you from being happy, because I soon realized that you would say to yourself, oh, when I make my first $1,000, I'll be the happiest person on earth and all my problems will be solved. And then you make the $1,000 and it suddenly doesn't seem a lot to you.
mm,
And then you're looking for the next 5,000 and you make the next five. So that goes to show that until you ultimately decide to be happy, nothing physical really is going to fill that void. And I think really deeply. So I started searching for how to just wake up and be grateful. I couldn't understand seeing people dancing on social media and just being happy. And I'm like, what exactly is exciting you? Especially when I know their backstory. And I'm like, hey, with all that you're going through, what's exciting you? What's so
mm-hmm.
funny? And so I started going through that. And I also am very particular. I've always been particular about people around me, even though I also felt that no one around me could influence me.
Mm,
So when I started this journey of living my best life, I realized that there were some people, especially if you're an empath or an introvert, you find out that there's some places you go to or people you hang out with, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with them on the face of it, but they leave you drained. You're not quite unhappy, you're not they didn't do anything wrong. So if they said to you, what did Angelica do? I can't say, oh, Angelica was nasty or Angelica was, but I just leave drained. Same thing with places we work. They're probably paying you fantastic salary. It's a beautiful environment. But when you wake up in the morning to go to work, you're upset. When you're in the office, you're upset, and nobody has done anything to you. And I used to blame myself because I just thought I was a very difficult person. And when I started the journey, I found out that it all boils down to our values.
Mm.
And one of my mentors, Ivan Meissner, wrote a book, Who's in Your Room? And that actually changed my life.
Mm.
And I I went on this journey, and I asked myself what my values were. Now, I know a lot of people are like me. So when I say what are your values, don't think that I had it all written down somewhere. I never had it written down somewhere. But I knew that I would always say things like, oh, you have to have values. This person doesn't have any values. Or I would say things like, oh, the person doesn't, I'm not in sync with the person. I just spit it all out.
Mm-hmm.
But I never did the work to actually sit down and think, what are my values? What are those things? And then we go into relationships, professional relationships, personal relationships, business relationships, without really thinking through this person or these people I'm doing this business with. Do we believe in the same things? Are we aligned? All we're looking at is the business or the job and the money.
Mm.
So I started the journey, and I started asking myself deep questions. What are your core values? And if you say this is your core value, are you truly living it? Because a lot of times we say these things are our values and we're not living them. And if they're your values and you're not living them, they're not your values, they're not your
Mm.
core values. They might be your aspirational values.
Mm.
So those are values you aspire to achieve, which I always say is perfect. There's nothing wrong with having aspirational values as long as you realize that they're aspirational and then you start working towards making them your core values. But
Mm.
you cannot, you need to know yourself to grow yourself. You cannot work towards something you don't know. So you need to know that they are aspirational values and they're important to you. And then you can determine the steps to take to turn them into core values. So I went on that journey and I started writing down my values. I started writing down the things that I honestly would want in people that I interact with.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a dangerous move because, and I always tell people when they go on that journey, because a lot of people dropped off.
Mm.
A lot of people will drop off because you would hear things like, oh, Angelica, you've changed. Oh, Angelica, you're not the same person you used to be. Oh, Angelica, you know that this is really me.
Mm-hmm.
So you realize that you really have not been living the life that you truly want to live. You've just been living for people or living for society. And that's not to say you're doing anything wrong or right. It's not about wrong or right here. It's about what you truly want in your heart of hearts. So I went on that journey and I discovered that quite a number of relationships I had, business wise, personal wise, just didn't align with my values. Wonderful businesses, wonderful people, but it just didn't align with my values. So I could immediately see on paper why I wasn't particularly um, always excited, in quotes. And when I talk about excited or happy, I want to laugh and honestly laugh. I
Mm-hmm.
want to dance and honestly feel like dancing. I don't want to dance because I want people to see me dancing or because dancing is the next best thing to do. I want to feel it inside of me.
Mm.
So I started working on those core values and I trained my mind and my brain to recognize the values that I didn't want or that I didn't feel would do me, would serve me. So slowly and surely, and I'm still on the journey. It's a journey, it's not a destination.
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to identify. For instance, I say everyone must always have a deal breaker. So for me, negativity is a deal breaker.
Mm-hmm.
And I've trained myself to spot it from a distance.
Yes.
So as soon as I just perceive the negativity, like my Bible says flee. I tell people, I say I don't run, I flee.
Okay. Oh,
So
that's beautiful. Yes, yes, yes. I love that. I love that. Thank you. Thank you for that. So, with you just explaining what started your journey in living your best life now and how you got to that point, it sounds like to me you went on a journey of self-discovery first. Finding out who you
absolutely.
are so you can know what it is that you want. So do you believe that the journey of self and knowing yourself is where one should start if they want to start living their best life?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Like I said, you need to know yourself to grow yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
need to know yourself to know what makes you happy. And it's funny because you realize sometimes, the FOMO, fear of missing out. Some people just do things because every other person is doing it and they're not really happy.
Mm.
And you find out that sometimes what makes you happy, truly happy, is not making a lot of people happy. Is not what a lot of people would do.
Mm-hmm.
So you're caught in between. So I'm caught in between. Do I want to go with the bandwagon and, or do I want to do what truly makes me happy? And I've learned that at the end of the day, I want to wake up energized. So I want to do what truly makes me happy, really.
Yes, yes, I love it. You brought up just, and that goes into my next question, just the importance of the way that you want to feel every day when it comes to living your best life is you want to be happy and energized. I'm hearing you saying this word energize, energy. So like what does living your best life mean to you or look like to you?
Okay, so that said, living my best life to me, the things that make me happy might not necessarily make you happy.
Mm,
So usually when I coach on it, I always say to everyone, write what success looks like to you. Write what a happy day looks like to you. For some people, a happy day is hanging out in the mall shopping. For some people, it's going to the movies. For some people, it's sitting down drinking coffee and reading a book. Whatever it is. So I'm not saying you have to live like me to be living your best life. So
mm-hmm.
now that said, personally for me, when I wake up in the morning, and this is not to say that you don't go through challenges. This is not it also living your best life really also is made up of how you handle those challenges when they come.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a lot more organized. I wake up in the morning and then there's something that I learned. And it's funny because it's something I had heard over and over again. And I even used to teach it.
Mm-hmm.
I never practiced it. And that's gratitude.
Mm.
So for the longest time, when people say, "Oh, have a spirit of gratitude," I say, "Oh, I'm always grateful. I'm grateful to God. I'm very appreciative." You know, when I started this journey, I actually found myself saying one day, "Oh God, forgive me. I have been an extremely ungrateful child." You know, because on one hand, you're grateful. On the other hand, you're always complaining.
Mm. Mm.
You
Yes.
know, and I found out that the more you complain, the more problems you have. And if you wake up and let's assume Sometimes I wake up and I look in my diary and I think I've booked in more meetings than I can handle, and I'm just normally I would feel drained and defeated. And sometimes I end up not being able to do any because I'm just all over the place and it just makes me sad. Then I start going into the mood of, oh, you're such a disorganized person, oh, you shouldn't have done this, and I start beating myself.
Mm-hmm.
Now I wake up, I'm very grateful. I see the meetings and I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus, that I have these meetings, because some people are looking for meetings and they don't have. So thank you that I have these meetings. And then I take a deep breath. A lot of us don't stop to think. We don't stop to communicate with ourselves. We just go, 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 go. And the world is getting faster and faster. So I actually take time out to think, and I look at it and I analyze it. And it doesn't, by the time you take a deep breath and think about it, it doesn't seem that enormous, or that
Mm-hmm.
like the world is coming to an end kind of feeling. So I start to analyze it. And in the past, I won't be able to send a message to you and say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't make it, because I think, oh, I'm going to look irresponsible, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. I've learned to politely say no. And that brings me to my next, you know, I always say no is a complete sentence, you know, and I
Yes.
would say no politely because it's affecting me. And I would explain, or I'll reschedule. I mean, for instance, I had a meeting I had booked for 10 a.m. today, and I had a family emergency which I couldn't cancel. In the past, that would have given me, I would have thought about it for 1 hour
Mm-hmm.
and beating myself up, and tried to, I probably would have tried to do the meeting on my iPad in the car, or something. And at the end of the day, I probably won't do the meeting properly. I'll end up thinking less of myself because I feel I've missed an appointment
Mm-hmm.
and all that. But I sent a little note to the lady and said, listen, I have a family, I hope you don't mind, let's reschedule. And we rescheduled, and nobody died, you know.
Yes.
But if you don't, you need to sit down and take that time to actually take a deep breath. We need to all just slow down a little and have time for ourselves, have personal conversations.
Mm-hmm. 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 Wow. That was so beautiful. I love that. Within that context of what you believe living your best life means, um, I'm also hearing you saying the fact of how self care is important as well.
Extremely.
Yeah, yeah, like taking that time for yourself, pausing, gratitude, and yeah, gratitude within things that you have and stuff. But also, it sounds like to me, you was giving gratitude just for the little things that you did. Well, just going through the day, like, okay, well, thank you. I
Yeah.
made the meeting. Thank you for allowing me to wake up. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. Wow, that's so beautiful. And that also was going to lead me into my next question, just about how are you able to maintain a positive attitude in life to keep you living your best life? And it sounds like to me the way that you maintain a positive attitude is with gratitude. Now, what would be an advice, or honestly, what are some tools that people could implement to constantly keep gratitude in the forefront of their mind daily, so they can be able to maintain a positive attitude so they can live their best life?
So, like I'd mentioned, the first one, just stop and think, take a deep breath. Um, you can pause. And funny, take a deep breath was something I always used to just get upset when people say take a deep breath. I'm like, how do I take a deep breath? Is it going to solve the problem?
Yeah. I was the same way.
you know, I'm like, I didn't even give it a chance.
Hmm.
So take a deep breath, humor me, and just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. And then self talk. I think that's the greatest damage we do to ourselves. Nothing hurts as much as what you say to yourself, not even what other people say to you.
Mm.
So, negative self talk. We need to watch what we say to ourselves. Always reframe. And when I say this, I want to just be very clear. Those thoughts would come. And when I say I'm living my best life and I'm being positive, don't think that negative thoughts don't come.
Mm.
It would definitely keep coming. But when you keep practicing it and you learn to retrain, you reframe those things, when it comes, you already have responses. So when you're about to do something and it says, how on earth, Angelica, do you think you're going to pull this off?
Mm.
And I say to myself, how on earth do you think I won't pull it off? You know, and
Yes.
I'm saying it and I'm saying it and I'm meaning it.
Mm.
Another tool that I found very helpful is talking to myself in the mirror. And I always practice what I preach. For the longest time, I had found talking to yourself in the mirror really ridiculous. And I used to be like, how do you expect me? I'm looking at myself in the mirror and you're saying to me to say to myself, oh, you're a strong woman. I don't think I'm strong. I'm seeing myself.
Yeah.
How?
Yes.
You know, and when it's about intentionality and trusting the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't knock the process until you start it. Leave an open mind and just look at yourself in the mirror and appreciate yourself. And you find out that when you don't appreciate yourself, other people around you won't appreciate you.
Mm.
In where I come from in Nigeria, we have a saying. In English, it means that the name you give your dog is the name people would call your dog. So if I got a puppy and I called my puppy Chloe, everyone would call my puppy Chloe.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wake up in the morning and you look at yourself in the mirror and you call yourself stupid, everyone will call you stupid.
Mm. Mm. Whew.
And I've
Thank
tried it so many times that, you look at yourself, you talk to yourself, you walk out, and the responses you get is totally different from when you've already run yourself down and you go out.
Mm.
So,
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for that. And if
thank
you
you.
all are, of course, and if you all are enjoying this episode just as well as I am, please, please, please show your support by donating today to Cash App $ Healing with Angelica to help sustain future episodes just like this. I will also leave more info to donate on the screen below. I love you all. Now let's get back to today's amazing topic, living my best life with Omu Obilor. So, Omu, you have been amazing. Wow.
Thank you.
Yes, like I love it. I love it. I love the fact that it's the fact that when I believe what I think is that the way that the world has perceived living your best life, it's not really the true way of living your best life, because you got to understand that trials will come, struggle will come, but as long as you know who you are, basically from what you're
Absolutely.
saying, know who you are, um, you know, uh, caring for yourself, self care, and those tools that you implement, talking to yourself, continue to give in gratitude, just knowing the things that you need to know to keep that positive attitude, honestly, is the best way to really engage and live your best life. Because, like you stated before, it's all about your response to life. How are you responding to life? That's how you
Absolutely.
can live your best life. So I love that. Thank you so much. Now I have a few more
Thank
questions. Yes, I love it. I do have a few more questions before we end. Now, what do you believe hinders one's happiness and stops them from living their best life?
it's funny, but when we're not authentic, and why I say it's funny is that that's one thing that stops us from actually living our best lives and we don't realize. So when you're not your authentic self, you're just not in sync with yourself. But the why I say we don't realize is that we've kind of normalized it,
Mm,
and we have a way of looking at the big things. So if you say what's going to stop you from living your best life, you usually hear people say things like money or houses, or which, to be quite honest, contributes, yes.
mm.
But ultimately it is what you think of yourself, because what you think of yourself and the energy you give yourself is what you're going to push out to the world. And that's what you honestly need to conquer and achieve whatever it is that success means to you.
Mm. Your perspective of yourself is big. Mm, I
Absolutely.
love it. I love it. Thank you so much for that. Now,
Thank
what if,
you.
yes, now what advice do you have for someone who is just struggling with implementing good habits to start living the life they deserve?
The first thing I would say is surround yourself with engines. So I always say that it's important to identify the engines and the anchors in your life. So, like the engines give you power, you have those people around you that say, oh, you can do it. Oh, it's possible. They can encourage you. They will tell you the truth. This is not working. You have some people that are anchors, and they just come into your life and they're like a heavy weight, just weighing you down. You need to flee from those ones, or those
Mm-hmm.
things. It might not be people, it might just be things. So you need to surround yourself with positive people, with people that align with your core values. And to be quite honest, without trying to market myself, get yourself a good coach. Get yourself a good coach, get yourself an accountability partner.
I love that. No, go right ahead. You know, you're a coach, so we need to know this. Ain't go right ahead. Yes, my sister is a coach. Can you tell us a little bit more about I know you had talked about it um in the as you introduced yourself. My bad. What you just said, I just had to note this down. Like surround yourself with engines. Like that is so powerful because I'm starting to see, oh man, I'm really being honest with you right now. Like I'm really starting to see how much is so important. Your environment, man, and the people you
Yes,
surround yourself with is like
absolutely.
vital.
It's
Like,
energy.
whew, oh gosh. Mm, it is energy. Ooh, I love it. So yeah, if you don't mind, just explain a little bit more of the coaching that you give.
Okay, so it's usually a transformational thing. Like I said, we start out by identifying what success means to you, and then of course we go through values, values you currently have, your aspirational values, values you need to imbibe to be that person that you want to be,
Mhm.
and then we begin to work on the journeys. What's stopping you from getting there? We begin to break down those beliefs, and then we walk through to overcome.
I love it. I love it. Now, what I've learned is that we try so much to go through life by ourselves. And
Yeah.
I think that is really a bad thing to do. Like every great person had a mentor, a coach, a teacher,
Yeah.
someone to help them get to where they at in life. I truly believe that if you are wanting to really take that step to living your best life, invest into a coach, invest into a mentor, someone that knows what they're talking about when it comes to the
Absolutely.
thing that you want to accomplish in life, because those people can keep you on the right path, and they can be your accountability, like you said, accountability partner, being able to really guide you. We need guidance. So
Yeah.
yes, all praise be to Allah. Thank you so much for that. I do have
Thank
my guest
you.
information down at the bottom of the screen. So if you guys are interested in her coaching program, definitely go ahead and take that information down. I also will have that information in my description. So definitely check that out. So Oma, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Yes, to discuss this amazing topic, living your best life now. I will also like to thank my amazing audience in Healing Tribe for joining us today. I pray this episode was informative, value, and healing to you all. Also, be sure to share, like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes on any of your favorite podcast station, Closing the Gap Broadcast Network on Facebook and YouTube, and Healing with Angelica podcast on Facebook and YouTube to help get the message out to those in need of healing and light. Also, if you are ready to start your healing journey, I am offering a 1 hour discovery call with a copy of my ebook, Heal Yourself, for free. More information will be in today's show notes, including information for today's amazing guest, my sister all the way from Nigeria, Omu Obilor. So,
Thank
Oma,
you.
before we end today's show, beloved, do you have any closing remarks for our audience today?
My closing remarks is just go out there and conquer the world. Yes, you can.
Yes, just go out there and conquer the world. I love it. Thank you so much for that, beloved. And again, thank you so
Thank
much, my
you.
amazing healing tribe, for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
And we leave you all as we came. Assalamu alaikum, peace, healing, and light.